On headlines today, the video of that burning suspect Pakistani boat. For over 11 hours, Coast Guard aircraft and ships tracked this boat when it left the KT Bandar in Pakistan near Karachi. This boat, was it set on fire by the Coast Guard? Did the Coast Guard fire on this boat, or did it self-destruct as the Coast Guard insists it did? Look at these flames. This boat is in flames. It burned for about 6 hours according to the Coast Guard. They claim they only fired across the bow of this boat to get it to stop. It did not stop. They chased this boat for over an hour. It did not stop. 4 crew members, according to the Coast Guard, then went inside the boat and set the boat on fire. Does this video prove that? Does this video prove anything for that matter? DIG BK Loshali, Chief of Staff of Coast Guard's Northwest Region Station, claimed he ordered the boat be blown up. The Coast Guard insists he was bragging. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar said facts of the case remain the same. There are different views, and we are putting out 3 views on your television screen. One view says that this is inconclusive, it proves nothing. The second view says, look at the boat, it self-destructed. Had it been set on fire, then at that point of time, this boat would have been blown into pieces. It wouldn't have burned for several hours. That is the Coast Guard's claim, to say that they did not fire at this boat. It set itself on fire. Joining me now for more is Headlines Today's Jugal Purohit. Jugal, you've accessed the video. You've spoken to your sources in the Coast Guard. What does this say? This footage, at best, is inconclusive.
Gaurav, there are 2 sides to any story, and this is no different. To begin with, however, we must all remember that when this incident took place, and after that, owing to the criticism and questioning, the Defence Minister had said that, he will be releasing all details. Now, do we have all details? The answer is obviously no. Even the government's press note that has come about along with this video does not go to any extent in trying to make us understand just what this video is all about. So in that sense, is the government completely in the open about it? Obviously no. The government has not given any analysis, has not given us any understanding of just why we should be taking this video and actually accepting the fact that yes, this is a video which is conclusively proving what the government has been saying. Now, coming to the 2 parts, the Indian Coast Guard's point of view, Gaurav, I've spoken to senior officers, and they say that if at all, as BK Loshali is suggesting, they wanted to blow the boat up, then would the boat have burned for 6 hours? According to them, this recording is from 2 a.m. roughly till around 6:37 a.m., which is when
that's
the boat
an important point you're making,
so
Jugal Purohit. What you're saying is,
had
the Coast Guard shot at this boat, had they fired either 7.62 mm rounds or 30 mm shells that Coast Guard ships have, then this boat would not have stayed there on surface and burned for several hours. This boat was burning for 5 hours. Had they shot it down, this boat would have sunk immediately. That's the point the Coast Guard is making. But those who are questioning the Coast Guard say, why would those on board set the boat on fire? Why would they not, if they were smugglers, why would they not just get arrested?
Well, Gaurav, this is a point which is obviously going to raise a lot of questions. Unfortunately, the Coast Guard has had to actually answer for those people who it did not know and whose conduct also perhaps it did not know. So it is in a difficult spot. But people who are doubting the operation are obviously saying that this video does not tell them a thing. The only thing that they make out from this video is that there is a fire obviously taking place. There is white smoke coming out of it. But
stay with me for a moment, Jugal. I want to quickly bring in Vice Admiral A.K. Singh. He's former C&C, also former Director General of Coast Guard. Admiral Singh, what do you make of this footage? Isn't this inconclusive, sir?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Gaurav. It is rather inconclusive, but I would like to add a couple of points. If I may add a couple of points. First of all, if the Coast Guard had actually fired on this ship, she would have sunk in 15 minutes or so. This is a fire from the diesels That's why it's taken, I believe, 4 hours, not 6 hours as is being reported. I believe she sank in about 4 hours and no debris was left. Now, if the Coast Guard had used this 30mm gun, this ship would have been sunk in about 15 minutes flat.
That's a very important point you're making, Admiral. Had the Coast Guard fired on this ship, it would have sunk in 15 minutes and not continued to burn for 4 hours. Admiral, you've seen what happened to our submarine when there was an internal explosion. The color of flame there and the color of flame here, it tells a different story, Admiral.
You're absolutely right, Gaurav. If you can play back the videos of that unfortunate sinking of Sindhu Rakshak due to an explosion, there's a very white plume. An explosive plume is totally different. What you're seeing here is diesel burning. And these people, you know, they have apparently, it's a wooden boat. She's been set on fire and it's diesel burning. She lasted 4 hours. And I generally tend to agree with the defense minister when he said these guys had committed suicide.
Okay, so what you're saying is that those on board did not want to be caught, so they set the boat on fire. But looking at these pictures, that story doesn't come out. In case the defense minister Manohar Parrikar said he'd put out the video, shouldn't they have put out the video of the entire chase and then the boat catching fire, perhaps on its own, as he insists?
See, if quite no, this is an incident which took place some 200 miles out at sea. So quite frankly, I'm not sure for how long the videotape runs. It could have, if they had kept a video camera on throughout, it may have run for hours for all I know. They may have decided to show a particular part of it. But yes, I do agree right now the video as it is doesn't give much. But I can tell you this much. It is definitely a wooden boat which is burning with the diesel being set on fire. That much is 100% sure. Now, you know, people say here carrying no explosions. Well, she may be only carrying AK-47s with some ammunition. I don't know. Maybe small grenades. I don't know. So okay. It's difficult to say. But I can tell you this much: I have seen plenty of firing of weapons in the Navy and Coast Guard. I have served in both. If a 30mm gun had fired, this wooden boat would have been sunk in about 15 minutes flat.
One more question, Admiral, before we let you go. DIG B.K. Loshali was Chief of Staff of the Northwest region. As Chief of Staff, can he order a boat be blown up and not serve biryani? You heard what he said. What do you make of it?
The Chief of Staff does not come in the chain of command for such an action. It has to be the 2-star COM CG who gives this order. He's in direct touch. There is no way a Chief of Staff can take a decision on to fire or not to fire. And I don't know why he has made that statement. That I suppose you let the investigation find out. But I know in the Navy and in the Coast Guard, nowhere can the Chief of Staff make such a statement. Okay. And also, Gaurav, if I may add,
Go on, Admiral.
If I may add just one line, what do we want? Do we want people to repeat Bombay and allow terrorists to come in and kill 166 people before we say, oh, it's a terror attack? Or do we agree that we got to keep our country safe from these kind of people?
No, but is there evidence to suggest that this was a boat which was coming for a Mumbai-type incident, sir?
See, in the absence of any knowledge, I'll tell you one thing. I have been DG Coast Guard, and I can tell you the Coast Guard boys at sea, and I've sailed in all their ships as DG for 18, 19 months. They are very cautious about firing on vessels. Believe me, they are very, very cautious on firing on vessels. They are not trigger-happy people. They are extremely cautious, and as to whether this chap was coming or not coming is only the commanding officer. The man on the spot will be able to assess, and he would be, I'm sure, reporting to his headquarters ashore. Vice
Admiral A.K. Singh, former Director General of Coast Guard, and Jugal Purohit. For the moment, many thanks for joining me.